What do Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia all have in common? At first glance, not much. They're separated by oceans. They have different cultures, different histories, different governments. But look closer, and you'll see the same cracks spreading through all three nations. Housing that ordinary families can't afford, middle classes vanishing, foreign corporations quietly taking control. And when you put the pieces together, a disturbing truth emerges. This isn't random. This isn't bad luck. It's a blueprint, a strategy called managed decline. And if you think it can't happen where you live, you need to pay attention because what you're about to learn will completely change the way you understand what's happening in the West today. Let's start in Canada, a country that still markets itself as progressive, independent, and prosperous. But behind the image, the foundations are crumbling. In just one generation, homeownership in Canada has collapsed by 31%. That means millions of families priced out of owning a home in the very country they built. In Toronto and Vancouver, average home prices now sit at 11 times the median household income. Financial experts say even 5 times income is unsustainable, but Canada has blown past that threshold and kept going. Toronto homes now average around $1.4 million. Vancouver, 1.7 million. And yet the average annual income hovers around 100,000. Do the math. It doesn't add up. It doesn't work anymore. And it's not just citizens buying these homes. Foreign investors, many of them absentee, own up to 13% of the housing market. Thousands of units sit empty, functioning not as shelter, but as pure financial vehicles. Meanwhile, younger Canadians, those under 40, now openly admit they don't expect to ever own a home. Nearly a third of them have already resigned themselves to renting for life. This isn't a housing market, it's a trap. And while ordinary families are crushed, GDP statistics look fine because Canada now has the fastest population growth in the G7. Not because of births, but because of immigration. In 2024 alone, Canada imported over 483,000 migrants. Population growth looks impressive on paper, but living standards, they collapse. Rents surge, wages stagnate, and domestic productivity barely moves. Between 2014 and 2024, Canada's real GDP per capita grew just 1.1%, second worst among 38 high-income countries. So ask yourself, is this really prosperity, or is it stage-managed decline hidden beneath carefully chosen statistics? Now, cross the Atlantic to Britain, once the workshop of the world, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, a nation that defined global power for centuries. And today, it's experiencing the fastest deindustrialization of any advanced country in history. In the 1970s, manufacturing made up 30% of GDP. Today, it's just 9%. Factories shuttered, jobs gone, entire communities left behind. And what replaced it? A bloated financial services sector centered in London, enriching a tiny minority, while the rest of the country sinks. The numbers tell the story. Britain's workers face the highest tax burden since World War II. Yet what do they get in return? The National Health Service, with a waiting list of 7.8 million people, schools crumbling with a 13.8 billion pound repair backlog, roads deteriorating, half of them less than 15 years away from total failure. Ordinary Britons lose 30 to 40% of their income to taxes, but corporations? 72% of top UK companies pay less than 10% effective tax. And here's the kicker. Those same corporations are quietly buying up public infrastructure. Thames Water, serving 15 million people, is majority owned by foreign investment funds, foreign governments, foreign corporations controlling Britain's most basic utilities. And then there's housing. In 1996, 65% of Britons under 35 owned a home. Today, just 28%. In London, 27% of homes sold in early 2024 went straight to foreign buyers. Chinese, Middle Eastern, and American investors dominate the market. Ordinary Britons are pushed out. The message is clear. You will not own. You will rent forever. And this isn't a side effect. It's the plan. Now look to the Southern Hemisphere. Australia, once known as the lucky country, a land of sunshine, prosperity, and opportunity. Not anymore. Today, Australia faces perhaps the most extreme version of this transformation. Housing costs have exploded by more than 400% since 1975. In the same period, wages grew only 1,183%. That gap destroyed affordability. Sydney is now less affordable than San Francisco or New York. The median home costs over 15 times the median household income. Why? Because Australia deliberately opened its property market to foreign investors while simultaneously pursuing one of the most aggressive immigration policies in the world. 547,000 new arrivals in 2023 alone. Meanwhile, building permits for new housing dropped by 8.5%. More people, fewer homes, skyrocketing prices. Even the government admits it's creating a two-tier society, yet they keep going because the existing property class is getting richer. And then there's resources. Over 86% of Australia's mining industry is now foreign-owned. China holds majority stakes in key sectors. The birthright of Australians sold off. And while the population of Sydney has grown nearly 40% in 2 decades, infrastructure hasn't kept up. Drivers now spend 51 hours a year stuck in traffic. For ordinary Australians, the dream is gone, replaced with permanent debt or permanent renting. If this feels familiar, it should, because we've seen it before. Rome. Most people think Rome fell to barbarian invasions, but the truth is the collapse started long before, from within. By the 2nd century AD, Rome's expansion slowed. Wealth concentrated at the top. Elites built vast estates, worked by imported labor. Ordinary Roman farmers, the backbone of the Republic, were destroyed by debt and displacement. Reformers tried to fight it. They were eliminated, and the system marched toward collapse. Rome's decline was not foreign invasion, it was internal decay. Economic inequality, demographic collapse, the same patterns unfolding right now in Canada, Britain, and Australia. So what is managed decline? It sounds like corporate jargon, and that's exactly where it came from. In the 1980s, Margaret Thatcher's government quietly advised that some industrial cities were beyond saving. The solution? Don't fix them. Just manage their collapse. Keep up appearances, control the decline, but never truly solve it. That concept has now been scaled up from cities to entire nations. And here's the most chilling part. Economic decline alone is risky. People might revolt. So alongside the economic blueprint runs a psychological one. In Canada, truckers who protested in 2022 had their bank accounts frozen, their assets seized, their movement restricted. In Britain, the 2023 Public Order Act gave police sweeping powers to shut down protests. Disruptive activity, defined so vaguely it could mean anything. In Australia, farmers protesting climate regulations were tracked with counter-terrorism surveillance. Meanwhile, media messaging is coordinated. Homeownership is outdated, national pride is toxic, opposing mass migration is racist, and if you question the narrative, your voice disappears. Posts vanish, videos deleted, accounts banned. This isn't random censorship, it's managed helplessness. Divide populations, suppress resistance, and people stop trying altogether. But it doesn't stop there. Because the end game isn't just about economics, it's about control. In Canada, 15-minute cities are being piloted in Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. On the surface, convenient. Everything you need within 15 minutes. In practice, movement restrictions, climate permits limiting car use, zones of control. In Britain, the Bank of England launched a central bank digital currency pilot in 2025. 2026, full rollout. With CBDCs, governments can track and control every transaction, what you buy, where you buy it, and whether you're even allowed to buy it. In Australia, the 2025 Digital ID Act introduced mandatory biometric identification. Every interaction with government services, healthcare, banking, tracked, logged, monitored, a social credit system in all but name. Canada, Britain, Australia, 3 countries, 3 continents, one blueprint, the managed decline of Western nations, the slow dismantling of middle-class life, the replacement of ownership with dependence, the transformation of free citizens into controlled subjects. And here's the hardest truth of all, it isn't coming. It's already here. The only question that remains is simple. When it spreads to your country, will you even notice before it's too late?